This is Rogers TV, Ottawa.
Welcome to the Celebration Show, Ottawa Race Weekend. What an incredible race weekend it has been so far. We've got lots more to share, of course. Almost 50,000 runners this year at the Ottawa Race Weekend. Many of them, of course, in the elite class. Many of them simply running for the joy of it. Many running for memory of a lost loved one. I am joined by Phil Marsh, Regional Manager of Running Room Canada. Phil, what an incredible weekend it's been so far.
It's amazing. The weather turned out okay, especially for the elites, but right now it's warming up a bit. We just saw Mark Sullivan from the U.S. He just finished his 172nd marathon.
Unbelievable.
And he struggled a little bit, but as you said, there's tons of stories. You know, you've got almost 50,000 stories, runners, walkers. You've got some people that you know, every individual is a story, and it's amazing. It's inspiring.
Yeah, it's been great to come back to Ottawa and work with this Rogers team. I've been away since January, so I've been in Montreal, and this is one of the elite marathons and race weekends probably in the world now, Phil. Fair to say, I would imagine.
Yeah, this race would probably be in the top 10 in the world in terms of average top 10 times. Today was a little different in the elites because there was a huge gap. The first two pulled away at the Art National Gallery.
Yeah.
And then there was a big pack behind that, and then the two elites split apart as well. So I don't remember the last time that I saw the elites split almost a minute apart for the top three. So the dynamics change in every race, and that's what makes it so cool for spectators, is that you really can never predict the outcome of even the strategy can change halfway through the race depending on the weather.
And Phil, you've been a coach for 30 years now, coaching runners. So I know you have a lot of runners here today, and when you're in that field where you're not necessarily in the elite class, I guess you're really just running for yourself, for your best time, just for even the pride and the joy of running.
Yeah, I think you know, depending on what the reason is, we saw a girl earlier that had just missed her. She'd run here to try to qualify for Rio, and she'd flown from overseas. She was trying to make the Olympic standard, didn't make it because of the conditions. That's one of the big things about the marathon, is that you can't just go turn around and run another marathon next weekend like you could a 5 or 10K.
Right.
You actually, you peak for this. You drop down maybe 10 days you're training. You need a big rest after that. So it's very difficult. In some ways, for the elites, it's a little easier because for the person's doing their first-time marathon, for example, they've got their family flying in from all over the country. They've got their coworkers coming in. They've, their whole family's put their life on hold for months and months on end. And all of a sudden you have a day where, you maybe sit beside somebody on a plane that's got the flu. Some little kid coughs on you, you get the flu, and your race could be shot.
It's all over for you.
So that's why I think you can get so many huge highs with the marathon, but there's also the lows, and that's, it's a celebration show, and I think it's a celebration of the human spirit just starting. And I think some of the stories that we'll hear today will be a celebration of the finishing as well.
Well, they will be, because even at the finish line, I was saying to you, it's such an emotional experience, and I'm watching the emotion from people. You just get emotional yourself, and and what a great crowd. I mean, the crowd here in Ottawa, you've done many marathons, all over the place. How would you rate Ottawa as far as supporting the running community?
It's growing quite a bit, the cheering stations, especially the way it's routed. You're getting a lot of cheering stations now. I remember the days, maybe 10, 15 years ago where people were protesting because all the roads were being closed and they didn't want it through the market and they didn't want it here. Now I think they realize, this brings in $40 million into the community. I think 9,000 hotel rooms are booked for this weekend. And it just brings life to the community. They're running along the Rideau Canal. These things that you going to Montreal, I think you kind of realize we take for granted that we just get to go run on a World Heritage Site. We get to run by the Parliament buildings. We get to run where the Capitol is. It's an amazing site. And so people remind us of that in Ottawa. They kind of go, wow, look at that. This is our home. and it really is a celebration.
Well, you mentioned cheering and what a great job Ottawa does up and down the line. I mean, and that means a lot. That support means so much. Well, there are teams out there that get together. You know, a lot of people run as individuals for the race weekend. A lot of people run as teams for the race weekend. And we've got a great story of Team Awesome. You want to talk about energy and a group of people who are doing it just for the love of it. This is the group that you're going to be really inspired by. Let's have a look at their story.
Team Awesome is a group of ambassadors for Ottawa Race Weekend, so we are encouraging other runners that are also training for the event, and we engage people on social media, in the community, online, through blogs, and just generally very enthusiastic for the event that is the best weekend in Ottawa.
Team Awesome is a group of people who are passionate about running. They're online, social media. They are passionate about helping other runners reach their running goals, especially leading up to Ottawa Race Weekend.
I'm part of Team Awesome because I really enjoy running and I would love to motivate people. So anything I could do to help bring awareness to this race, to this wonderful race, because it is truly the best race I've ever run in our beautiful nation's capital. If I could bring awareness to it and get other people motivated and excited to run it, that's what I'm here for.
I think it brings together the Ottawa running community. Ottawa's a sort of an interesting city where it's spread out, so east and west. So oftentimes people aren't necessarily running always together. So I think it provides an opportunity for either the Ottawa running community and runners, or even those coming to run the Ottawa Marathon, to touch base, to find out what others are doing, maybe to see some training tips, just to connect with others that are doing the same event.
Well, I think for anyone finishing a race, whatever distance it is such a sense of accomplishment to have, you know, back in January and December decided to sign up for that race and to then see the training through until that last 200 meters. It really is an accomplishment. And for myself personally, and I can't speak for Team Awesome, but I think many of them can share this view, is you picture that 200 meters in so many of your runs when it's really hard out there and you're at 25 kilometers and you have 32 was what your planned run is, and all you want to do is quit. It's negative 20 degrees. You picture that 200 meters, and that 0.2 for the marathon, that is what is worth it.
The emotion, the feelings are overwhelming. You get towards the last few hundred meters, you just want to stop, but you just feed off of the energy that the crowd is generating. It's magic.
Oh, I am just so excited for the crowds and just seeing that finish line and just putting my hands up in the air with the biggest smile on my face going, I've done it! I'm so excited for it. This is my third time running the marathon, and I've run the half marathon a couple of times as well, so it's one of my favorite scenes. When I see that finish line, the speed will come up and hopefully cross that finish line with a big smile.
There you have it. A great team and getting people excited about the marathon, Ottawa Race Weekend in general. And then look at the crowd of people here. I mean, just absolutely amazing, Phil. And so, Phil, is there a target time for a lot of, let's say, you know, your everyday runner? Do they have a target time that they look for?
Yeah, I think so. You generally tell people that you want to have an A goal, a B goal, and then that kind of survival goal.
Right.
Last night for the 10K, for example, we told everybody, you know what, go get that survival medal, because, you know, it was the hottest day that they've ever had for the Tamarack Ottawa Race Weekend. So you want to have a couple of goals in mind. You can see some of the pace bunnies, the runners that are running with the pink bunny ears and the big signs. That comes from Boston Marathon qualifying times. So years
Okay.
ago, Races in Ottawa was one of the first ones to do it. They decided to have pacers, so if people wanted to come and run the race and qualify for a certain time for Boston, they would have somebody who's maybe got a half-hour leeway that is going to donate their time and volunteer and try to bring others in on their goal time. So now it's spread through the 10K, the half marathon, and the marathon. So
What a great idea.
yeah, so people have their goals. Again, with 48,000 people running and walking, some of them is to raise $5,000. I ran with Jody Middick, who's a
Yes.
counselor now,
Yeah.
and we trained together for his first half marathon. We ran Army Run together. And Jody has 2 prosthetics, and his goal was literally finish, but in the big picture, inspire other soldiers and soldiers, people suffering from PTSD, to learn to use running and healthy lifestyle as a way to deal with that. So the goals can be a number. The goals can be something that's confidential or something that they've spread with family and friends. So
Well, people are raising millions
Yes.
of dollars over the race weekend for so many different reasons. And, it has grown so much over the years. It's really changed the entire dynamic of Ottawa Race Weekend. And now it includes a kids marathon, which
Yep.
has been happening for a while. And this is a great way, we talk about trying to get kids more active. When you talk about activities for kids, they can get so expensive.
Yep.
Here's something. You buy your kid a pair of running
Yes.
shoes,
Yep.
and you go out and you run as a family. You get them interested, and then putting them in a situation like this, Phil.
Yeah.
How exciting is it for a kid to be running along? Here's a look at it, and people cheering them. I mean, this is a way to get kids excited about physical activity.
Yeah, and that again, a credit to Run Ottawa. I work with the National Health and Fitness Day, and one of our big focuses is to try to get everybody active. And what you see on the race weekend, probably the coolest thing is you can start out doing the kids marathon or the 2K. Next year you can do the 5K. Year after that you can do the 10K. Year after that, maybe you can go back and do the 2K and 5K with somebody you decided to mentor, and then you can turn around the next day and do the Scotiabank Half Marathon or the Scotiabank Marathon. So the races can grow. And we've seen literally 3 generations last night of grandmother, daughter, and granddaughter all running the 10K together. I know a woman who I was talking to a month ago, 77 years old, and she's doing the marathon again. And I kind of thought, oh, you're walking. And she said, no, I'm running it again. And I was like, that's pretty impressive. She goes, well, call me when I'm 80. Then when I do my marathon, that's impressive. But she said, I'm 77 years young, and I'm very active and healthy. And
I love it. And we're going to hear more and more of those stories. We actually have Mike Nellis standing by. He has the winner of the kids marathon. Let's head over to Mike.
Back here with the winner of the Ottawa Kids Marathon, Owen McKinley-Young, and Owen, it was a 1.2 kilometer race. You guys managed to, you managed to pull it out. How do you feel?
I feel really good, yeah. It was a really fun race.
So what kind of preparation did you put in before this race?
So before you come here, you do like everything, like here you're just doing the last 1.2K in a marathon. So before you come here, you do like 41 kilometers, I believe. So when you finish like on the track today, it's the last 1.2K, so you end up with 42.2 kilometers in total.
Mm-hmm. So I guess getting all that and getting to that final checkpoint of the marathon is got to be a huge accomplishment for you.
Oh yeah, it's really good, yeah.
So how old are you?
I'm 14. Yeah.
You're 14, and how long have you been doing things like this for, running and competing?
A long time, yeah. Well, I've been doing like all different like soccer and different sports like pretty much my whole life.
So how long have you, or not how long, but how does it feel to win this event? Because you placed first. You mentioned that you had to accumulate this kind of time up to 42 kilometers. You do it in the big event here. You managed to take the win. It's got to feel really good as well.
Oh yeah, it feels amazing. Yeah.
Okay, Owen.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
That's Owen McKinley-Young, who won the Ottawa Kids Marathon. Derek.
Thank you very much, Mike. Congratulations, Owen.
Yeah.
What a great accomplishment. Can you imagine how that feels as a young person to cross that with everybody cheering you on like that?
Well, it's pretty exciting for the kids too, because they had a bunch of members of the Carleton football team as the kind of the security guards, so stopping them from going too quickly. So you had a bunch of big football guys there, and they were all cheering the kids, and they ran a little bit of ways with them, even though they had their football sweaters on. But just watching the kids, how excited they were. And the great thing is too, that goes back to the schools and the parents, and it puts the impetus on them to not only get them fit, but also to educate these kids on the nutrition, on the rest, on the things that are critical in terms of our health literacy. So instead of spending money on the healthcare side of it, we're investing in the health side of it. And I think Run Ottawa, huge kudos for that. That's an event that we really should be growing and growing as the years go on.
I couldn't agree more. And you saw kids of all abilities. We saw kids in wheelchairs being pushed along and pushing themselves along. So it's great to get. That's the other thing about running is people of all abilities, it doesn't matter, can get involved in some way. And I think Running Room Canada does a great job in helping people do that as well.
Yeah, I think, with John Stanton, who's going to be up here later on, I think, and, writing so many best-selling books on running and walking, and a kid's book as well. And with our clinics, you see that it's achievable. And one of the great dynamics that's changed now, race weekend's 55% women. And if you take away the marathon, you're probably over 60% women. So
really?
It doesn't bode well for the males of the species, because we tend not to gravitate to where there's more women for some reason. But women have taken it over. It's become, I guess the best way to describe it, years ago we used to train to race. So you trained as hard as you could, as long as you could, and then once you got as fast as you could or got injured, you quit the sport.
Right.
Now people race to train. So training is their lifestyle. They'll maybe go to Disney, they'll maybe do the dopey, they'll do like 4 races in 4 days, or they'll do this and they'll do a bike ride after. So now the race is part of the process instead of the end game.
Right.
And that's much healthier.
And a great way to socialize.
Oh,
too.
absolutely.
I mean, it's an amazing way to get together, and you get to run with. Some people like to do it on their own, but some people need that inspiration and that motivation. Well, you saw a feature on Team Awesome a little while ago. Kimothy Walker has a member of Team Awesome with her. Let's head down to her.
Congratulations, that was awesome.
Thank you very much.
You're from Team Awesome. Tell us what Team Awesome is.
Team Awesome is a group of enthusiastic runners. We're present on social media. We're helping out with the Ottawa Marathon event promotion to promote not only the event but running. Right? It's so easy. Get some running shoes, get running, and this event here is simply great.
What was the mood like out there?
Mood was great. It was a little bit on the warm side. There was lots of warnings, so that's good. Lots of citizens helping out with sprinkling water, offering water. It was great. What kept us going was the cheering on, all the volunteers everywhere, and obviously the energy drinks as well.
Well, because the Team Awesome is about connection, right? I mean, it's about people doing this. And how do people reach you if they want to get involved?
Well, they will have to contact the Ottawa Marathon organization. So every year we have an expression of interest that's out. We're looking for 30 members, 20 English, 10 French, and they're from all over Canada. Just ambassadors, basically, for the event.
Yeah. And you obviously did a really good job, because everybody here looks really happy.
Again, thanks to volunteers handing out water everywhere. It was great.
And the cheering stations.
That was the extra boost that you need. You were finding them at the cheering stations for sure.
Well, congratulations to you.
Thank you, man. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, Kimothy. We're seeing more runners coming across the finish line here. And Phil, the sun really just came out right now. The temperatures have probably gone up about 5 degrees over the last probably 25, 30 minutes. What does that mean for these runners right now?
Well, that starts to be a little problematic, and that's why the race directors were and the medical director, John Hooper, were so cautious with people and kind of trying to give them the warning. When they started, it was cool this morning. It was actually nice temperatures.
Yeah.
So, some people may have kind of gotten lulled into, it's going to be great conditions. So first half, they probably got through okay. Now it's critical to have that plan B. So you get through halfway or 30K, I'll generally tell people to break it into a 30 and a 12 instead of one big race.
Okay.
So they probably tried to get through 30K on their goal pace. Right now with the heat coming out like that, especially if you're not built like the Kenyans and the Ethiopians, this is the time that you all of a sudden have to take the precautions of sipping more water, walking, taking your 10 and 1s, or even walking a little bit more, and being a little more realistic. You're also going to have to, kind of make sure that you're aware of your environment.
Right.
But yeah, it's fine as long as you're careful. That's the biggest thing, and any sports like that.
Well, we see the great medical staff here. I mean, we just saw someone fall just behind us here, and you see the medical staff pay very close attention. I mean, they make eye contact with every runner that crosses that finish line to make sure they're okay. We did mention that there are so many incredible stories that happen through race weekend, individual stories, group stories. Jim Willet is one of those incredible stories. He's a personal trainer since '97. He was diagnosed with colon cancer in 2010. In 2011, 9 months after finishing his chemotherapy, he completed the Gobi March, which is a 250-kilometer race across the desert. Absolutely amazing. May 8th, he completed the Fredericton Marathon. And then since May 8th, he's been running from Fredericton to Ottawa and is now running the Ottawa Marathon. Unbelievable, Phil, that people can do this kind of thing.
But let's put it in context. This is going to be a piece of cake.
That's right.
Right?
After all
he's
of that.
the only one looking at the marathon as a cool down.
Exactly.
So yeah, but again, it's incredible the stories that some of these people have and why they do what they do. And it's not, the elites are that little 1%, just like the rest of the world, the 1%.
That's right.
But the 99% of us that are doing this for different reasons, that's an incredible story. That's a book right there.
Exactly. Well, we have that story. We're going to head over to that right now. We caught up with Jim.
This is Jim Willet. You may not know it by looking at him, but many people would consider him to be outlandish. You see, Jim likes to run, and I mean run, really run, and run far. Jim is an ultra marathoner, meaning he runs distance races anywhere from 50 kilometers to almost 900 kilometers. Jim was always athletic and enjoyed running, but it took a major event in his life for him to start running ultra marathons.
I got into running in my early 30s. I'm 42 now. I got into running in my early 30s as a way to kind of stay fit, because I'd always run as a way to train for the sports I was playing. And then when I stopped, I wanted to stay healthy and fit, so I decided to take up some running. And that's when I had problems with my health, and I was diagnosed with cancer after I did my first half marathon, and kind of snowballed into doing ultra marathons after that. I use the word humbled often when I describe my reaction when I found out I had cancer. There was certainly anger, there was certainly fear. I was pretty terrified. I was 36, but I wouldn't be standing here now talking to you if I didn't go through that experience, because it really, as I said, it really created a sense of urgency and made me realize sort of how precious every day is, and to go out and do the things that you want to do, because you don't know what tomorrow holds.
So Jim just happened to snowball into ultra marathons after having cancer. In fact, Jim ran his first ultra marathon, the Gobi March, across the Gobi Desert in China, just 9 months after completing chemotherapy.
I didn't want to just go back and run another half. I needed to do something bigger, because it created this sense of urgency in my life, and that it was something I thought maybe someday I'd like to undertake these big adventures. And I realized that we may not have someday, so I probably should do the things I want to do now.
Jim's current running project isn't an actual ultramarathon, but he calls it his Marathon to Marathon project. On May 8th, he ran the Fredericton Marathon. Then he kept running all the way from Fredericton to Ottawa, where on race weekend he will compete in the Ottawa Marathon.
I'd made the decision this year that I wanted to look at doing this kind of thing, because in the past I think I had excluded it from my bucket list of races, because I thought maybe it was too many people, it was too busy, it was too much on the road. And the more races that I've done, and what I've realized is, I thought the adventure was being out in the open spaces, and that's part of it. But an even bigger part for me is the people that I've met on the way.
Luckily for Jim, the Ottawa Marathon is filled with great people with great stories to keep him motivated.
It's not about me running here. I'm just kind of the backdrop of this story. Really, it's about all the places I'm going through and the people that I'm meeting on the way. So I want to be able to show people through my eyes what it's like to do this.
So while this part of Jim's journey will come to an end at the finish line of the Ottawa Marathon, Jim's adventures in many ways are just getting started. Jim has never let deserts, mountains, or even cancer stop him. All he has to do is take another step.
Well, speaking of Jim Willet, he just finished the Ottawa Marathon. We have Timothy Walker standing by with him. Let's head over there right now.
You're going to get hot with that on soon. Okay.
Lots of sprinklers.
I know. Lots of Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Are you tired? You've had a bit of a few days.
I think I'm going to go home and have a nap. Maybe eat some cake.
Maybe eat some cake. How did you persevere?
This was like, there were so many people and so many people out. This felt like a party the whole time.
Really?
So like all the running here, I was over 12, I passed 1,200 kilometers during the race of my total. And
1,200 kilometers. Let's just repeat that so we understand the magnitude of what you've been doing. And you didn't get the break in between that you expected, right?
No, well, I started in Fredericton and then I ran 3 weeks, 20 days straight to here and got here yesterday. Yeah.
I thought you were going to get about 36 hours turnaround.
And unfortunately, I did a few detours and sightseeing and ended up running about an extra 100 kilometers over what I thought. So yeah.
And you know, when people say to you, you know, that they think that you might be a little bit extreme, the look on your face, you're having such a good time.
I tell people all the time, like, you can't really learn about yourself until you've pushed yourself to the point where you have to either stop or go. And so I've pushed myself to that point, and I know what I'm made of, and I can push through that. So there's not much that mentally that can stop me. So.
How do you top this? I mean, if you push, what can you push to now?
Well, I was thinking about a dance marathon, disco. I saw a guy dressed as a robot back there. Okay. Maybe next time I'll dress as a robot.
Yeah. You're not just going to keep running to BC or anything, are you?
Not this week.
Not this week?
Yeah.
No, it's in all seriousness. How do you finish this day? Are you going to get some sleep? Are you going to eat a huge meal?
I've got so many friends here. I'm going to sort of party with my friends a little bit, dance a little bit. Probably eat a lot, drink a lot. Not alcohol. I don't drink alcohol, but just a lot of like chocolate milk, Gatorade, iced tea.
How are you feeling? You did it.
Right now, I feel amazing. I actually felt like I could have run that faster, but my goal was just to qualify for Boston in my second marathon.
And just keep running. Well, congratulations to you.
Thank you very much.
Do you want to sit down?
No, I'm okay.
What a great story. John, what do you think of that story?
That's a story. We all run for various reasons, and some people run around the block and just to feel good about themselves. Others run to challenge themselves, and today we're seeing lots of that out on the course. We see everything from that person running their first one, and when you see the finish line here and you see the sense of accomplishment and the sense of empowerment that comes, and some people get empowered to very high levels. Others, it allows them to live life and deal with the stress of daily living.
John Stanton, of course. I failed to mention who we're sitting down with, but I'm sure many of you at home already know who we're talking to, of course, from the running room. And what a great success story the running room has been. And the growth and popularity, John, of running and people getting excited and inspired to do so. Did you expect something like this when you first started the running room?
Well, it's so marvelous. And here in Ottawa, at the start, I said, it's amazing when you look at the start today, over 40,000 people participating in the various events this weekend. And what a statement, when you look and you talk to Canadians, our number one concern is the rising obesity rate with kids and the aging baby boomer and lack of activity. But when you see this burgeoning group of runners out there that's getting the message on how fitness and wellness is so important, when you stand at either the start or the finish line and you see all the body shapes and sizes, all the age groups that are out there, it's just truly amazing and very rewarding to see that message is getting out there. We had a couple of our MPs that were there, and instead of standing up and being an MP and saying your politically wise words that all MPs do, they did that, and they were dressed with their bib numbers on and hopped in the half marathon and ran the half marathon. And Yasif Nakfi is who I'm talking about. And I thought, wow, that's a message to Canadians that we're all here together. Let's celebrate our health. And when you see the finish line here and you see the smiles and elation and empowerment, it's amazing. At the start line, you saw groups of people there. You had family members out there. You had community groups. You had people running for charities. Everybody runs for their own reason, but the elation that comes from crossing the finish line, it's all their Olympic moments.
I know, it's so true. Phil, how did you and John come to meet?
Racquetball.
Really?
That's right.
Yeah, no, I used to do some talks when I was coaching and racing, and John and I ended up connecting over a racquetball game at the Y of all things, and we've been friends for over 20 years, and I decided it was a good career move to go to the running room. John told me at the time there were going to be 100 running room stores, and I was kind of rolled my eyes, went, I think there's only about 15 right now, so let's see where that goes. But it's been incredible for me to have a mentor like John in terms of my coaching career, and kind of opening my eyes to all of these kind of stories, and not just the elite athletes, but what human beings are capable of. And John's story again inspires so many people. But yeah, it's been amazing, and watching Ottawa with 48,000 people. It's inspiring me as a coach every time I see somebody out there.
I'm glad you mentioned John's story, because I'd like you to share it, John, and I know you've shared it many times before, but there are people tuning in probably for the first time, meeting you for the first time, and it's a great story to share.
Well, you know, I was an overweight. I was in the grocery industry in my mid-30s, and I was 238 pounds and smoking a couple of packs of cigarettes a day. And like so many people, I'd thrown my energies into my family, into my work, into my community activities, enjoyed all those things. But one day, my one son was going in a 10-mile road race, much like the Ottawa race weekend, and my younger son wanted to go in the little fun run, the 2K little fun run that they were having. I, at the time, didn't know fun and run could appear in the same sentence. And my wife said, yeah, to my younger son, you can go, but Dad's got to go with you. And Dad, being Dad, said, oh, okay. First thing I had to do is figure out how far 2K was. And it was a bit of a shock, and I thought, wow, I better finish this. And the newspaper was the sponsor, and I wanted to make sure I was vertical at the finish line and had a smile on my face. So that was my only goal. So I kind of walked and ran and managed to struggle through that 2K. But it was a wake-up call. It made me realize just how badly out of shape I'd gotten. My father had died early from a heart condition. My brother had a heart condition. I thought, wow, I'm a prime candidate to have a heart incident if I'm not careful. And I cared about my family. I cared about my job. So I started to run. And under the cover of darkness, every morning I'd get up, and neighbors couldn't see this chubby little guy jogging around
You
the
didn't
block.
want to see, you didn't want them to see you, did you?
Well, you know what I learned is the number one thing that keeps us from exercising, fear of embarrassment.
Yes,
And
I've
what
been
I
there.
did is I did it under the cover of darkness. And I was able over a period of time start running more, walking less. And I'd use the walk run myself in order to get beyond the 1 minute of running that I could do. But, you know, it gave me insight. I had people asking me afterwards, how did you go through this epiphany? Because I started to run half marathons and marathons, did the Ironman, did all these things, and people said, how did you do this? And the reason we started the running room is to create an information center, a meeting place for people, make sure that it's gentle yet progressive type of training that they're going to go through, and we're going to make it collegial. We're going to make it fun. We're going to make it friendly. If you go out by yourself and go in the neighborhood, the first time you put on a tracksuit and a pair of shoes, you feel very self-conscious. But if we go in a group and we're laughing, we're talking about the political situation or whatever is on TV or the weather or whatever social talk that's going on, all of a sudden we're like kids on a soccer team. We start to enjoy it. We're having fun. And the next thing we know, we're starting to get the benefits of fitness and wellness, and we start to feel good about ourselves. And for people who are watching, you know, make sure that don't sit on the sidelines of life. Get into the game of life. And the best way to do it is watch behind us. See all the people that are coming in, the body shapes, the sizes. They're all ages out there. They're all body shapes. A runner isn't defined as this sort of thing we have in our mind about this lean, mean Kenyan that's out there racing. They're there, no doubt about it, and they're there, and we're chasing them. But some of them are chasing our dream of catching a Kenyan, but most of us are chasing the dream of just enjoying a fitter, healthier, more empowered lifestyle and handling stress. Running is a great stress reliever. We know that we all face stress. We've got economic stress, political stress. You know, our country's been at war. We've got a lot of family stress that's in there because of these pressures in our society. And to allow us to be childlike, to play again. That's what running does for us. And it allows us to celebrate. This is a celebration here today.
It sure is.
It's a celebration of individual achievement out there, but it's also a celebration of community action. all the volunteers that are out there, all the organizing committee that's there, all the sponsors that work together in a collective, collaborative way to make sure that the events go off and are professionally done, and it's fun, it's safe, and encouraging for everybody.
I couldn't agree more. I was telling Phil, my brother and my dad ran the 5K yesterday. My brother could have run longer. I mean, he's in great shape, but you know, my dad had some health concerns, had a heart attack, had 2 strokes in recovery, and a guy who was in great shape. But as you explained, you know, the history of heart disease in the family, it was bad luck for him, but he was motivated to get better, and he's physically back. And yesterday he wanted to run even with the heat that we had, and so my brother and my dad, you know, they ran 100 feet, they walked 50. They ran 100, they walked 50. And my dad, you know, just the pride on my dad's face when he came back after the run and how excited he was that he finished. What an accomplishment.
Well, that's right, and he had that Olympic moment. You know, I call it the last 100 yards, and you see it here at the finish line when they come down, and you know, 200 yards out, they're struggling and their legs aren't working and they're thinking, how did I get talked into this? When they see that finish line, you can see their faces light up, their legs kick back into gear, and it's their Olympic moment. You know, the hair on the back of their neck tingles, they get their eyes all misty because they know they've done the extraordinary thing of going beyond what's normal.
Yeah, and they've been motivated by this great Ottawa crowd in attendance all down the entire length of this route. And actually, Mike Nellis is standing by. He is over at one of the cheering stations. We're going to head over there right now and have a look.
Every year, the Crichton Community Council puts on this cheering event for the Ottawa Marathon at New Edinburgh Park as they cheer on Ottawa's athletes in their pursuit of the Ottawa Marathon. Mike Nellis back here in New Edinburgh Park with Sylvain Belanger, the organizer of this event. And Sylvain, thank you for joining me.
You're welcome, thank you.
Now this is it's a very special event. Obviously you got music playing, a lot of people with positive energy coming through here. It's one of the big landmarks of the Ottawa Marathon, it seems like.
It is, and at kilometer 36 where we're at, you've got 6 kilometers to go. It's been a long day, so this is an important part of the cheering. The fast runners that are going by right now, but it's the people that are coming by after 3.5, 4 hours. They really need our energy and our support.
And you know, you see in the straightaway coming through here, as they come through to Edinburgh, there are a lot of signs, you know, encouraging them, and then they get to this. This is almost like the pinnacle of that before they turn onto Sussex Drive and come through again.
And it's one of our bigger events for the year. We bring out the community, and we usually have a couple hundred people. We make that our family barbecue as well, and we're going to have activities for the kids later on to keep people around until that last runner who comes by around 1:30 in the afternoon. And that's the person that needs the most attention. Last year, there were only a few of us left when he went by, and the support that we give them is so important. You can see it on their faces.
So how long has this been around? Is this an event that has been established in New Edinburgh for a long time?
We're almost into our 10th year now, and this is really a community event that was brought together by the people of the community. The marathon helps so they provide us with cheering material, and they actually look for cheering stations, and we're more than happy. We put on the music, we bring out the people, and we're just before the watering station, so we really want to build support for people.
Well, Sylvain, thank you very much, and good luck with the rest of the day.
Thank you very much.
Back to you, Derek.
Thank you very much, Mike. Really appreciate that. It's great to see so many people out cheering. We're now joined by Karel Chapdelaine. She is the Senior Vice President of Scotiabank. What do you think of this day so far, Karel?
Isn't it amazing? It's a perfect day. I think for the runners, it's amazing. It's great.
Let's talk about Scotiabank and their reasons for getting involved with something like this. I know you're involved in so many different things, but why Ottawa Race Weekend? Why?
Well,
is that special?
It's funny. I was in a branch yesterday, and I was talking with one of the runners that told me, I'm going to run this afternoon. I said, okay, so what cause are you running for? And he said, what do you mean? So I said, okay, you're coming with me at your computer, and we are going to make sure that you know about the Scotiabank Charity Challenge. So we went in there, and he had to pick between 61 charitable organizations that were there, and he decided to pick for the CHEO. And I said, why did you pick the CHEO? He said, they saved my son's life when he was younger. He got heart surgery, and that's why I picked them. And I said, you see now, you are going to run, but for a very good cause. You are going to run for your son and for the CHEO for saving your son. So it makes your run very different. It makes you run for a cause.
And well, obviously, different motivation for everybody. And as you said, the Scotiabank Charity Challenge is one of those great motivators. Tell us a little, like, how did people get involved? How did Scotiabank set that up and get involved with this?
Well, it started 13 years ago, and since then we actually raised $46 million.
Let's just repeat that: $46 million. Incredible.
Through the Scotiabank Charity Challenge. So we're very proud of that. This year we hope to raise the bar again and meet the $50 million mark, which is our goal for this year. We still have 3 in the run. So Calgary is today. We also have Toronto at the end of September and Vancouver in June. So it's six different events across the country. And this one, Ottawa, it's only our second year. So last year, $800,000 we raised. And hopefully this year we'll raise at least the same amount. Maybe more, we don't know yet. But it's for good causes, and we strongly support it, and we're very involved in it.
Do you have many colleagues that are running in different
I don't have
races?
the count, but you know what? I should have it next year. I'm
I
sure
didn't need
they're
an exact
listening
number,
to me.
but I'm sure you have some colleagues that are doing it.
There's a lot.
Are you a runner yourself? Have you run any
Well,
of the
I run
races?
in my basement for now, and I'm giving you my word. Next year, I'll be running the
You need to
5K.
talk to this guy here, eh, Phil? You can help motivate Carole.
Yep, we'll get you out one block at a time, one telephone pole at a time, run, walk, and you'll be fine.
Good, thank you. Thanks for your help.
So, Carole, when you're watching people come across the finish line here, knowing that you're a part of this and that Scotiabank is a part of helping raise, as you said, last year $800,000, this year probably even more, so many people are emotional. Do you feel some of that emotion when you see them?
Well, it's quite an accomplishment in itself, because when I see people falling at the finish line, it makes you think of how strong they need to be to get to the finish line, and how hard it is. And I mean, I would need a lot of help to do it myself, but when you do it with someone in mind, for example, if your mom is at the hospital with Alzheimer's disease, and you decide that you do it for your mom or for your sister-in-law that's fighting breast cancer, it makes the whole thing different. So I think it's quite an achievement, but when you think of the reason why you do it and how it matters to the charity you raise fund for, I think it makes it even better.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. And Phil, when we see that happen at the finish line, somebody having that moment of collapse, what's happening to their body in that moment?
Well, it's fight or flight. It's human nature, and a lot of times their mind their body is saying stop, but their mind is continuing them through. And I think that's where the crowd really comes into play, and running for a reason like that is that can kind of override, sometimes not safely,
yes,
but a lot of times where you have that self-doubt and you have that fear, the reason you're running is what gets you across the finish line. I ran with 8 recovering drug and alcohol addicts about 10 years ago, and we kind of followed their progress, and these guys that had a huge health problems, the works, and all 8 that started training for the marathon finished it. And I ran the last 2K through the finish with each of them. Discovered it's actually uphill from Victoria Bridge, going back and forth 8 times.
Right.
But it was amazing because they were all fighting their own personal demons, and what got them through was they felt to a man that by turning an unhealthy addiction into a healthy addiction was going to help save their lives. And so far, for 6 of them, it has. So again, you can see that running, walking can literally be a life changer.
Carole, when you hear something like that, I mean, again, that's the stories that we keep hearing over and over again.
Yeah, and it
race
gives us
weekend.
more reasons to continue to support this event and to push our people in our bank, in our branches, to talk about the Scotiabank Charity Challenge.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, just think of it, if the 48,000 runners that are here today would actually raise money for a cause, for any cause, just imagine how much we could raise.
No kidding. Well, you mentioned causes, and everybody running for a different cause. It could be something individual. It could be running for somebody in their family. It could be a friend. We have somebody that's today running for Team Diabetes, and Kimothy Walker is standing by. We're going to head over to her and find out more. Kimothy?
Okay, so you just finished. Congratulations, and Team Diabetes. Tell us about your cause.
I became type 1 diabetic while I was serving overseas. Came home, and I've been doing half marathons ever since.
So has that impacted your overall health with your diabetes?
No, I've always had a healthy lifestyle being service member. But yeah, there is quite the change.
How was the course out there today? It's starting to get much hotter.
Yeah, probably about the 17K mark is where we felt it the most. That's where the heat kicked in, and I'm almost feeling my sugar go down right now.
Did you run with other team members out on the course? Because I know Team Diabetes has a pretty big showing here.
Yes, I did for the start of it, but being as tall as I am, I had to.
You left them
my
in the
stride.
dust, didn't
Yeah.
you? You left your teammates in the dust. Is this your first time here?
Not my first time for the half marathon, but this is my 4th race for Team Diabetes.
Oh, that's great. So are you doing them around the world?
No, not yet.
Not yet? Is that the big plan?
Yes, it is. I'll hopefully get to the Jamaica one.
Okay, well, go check your sugar levels.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, take care.
The race put out for people to spray the hoses from their front yards along the route.
Well, Phil and I, just looking back behind us, you see people still coming in. Of course, a lot of people with that joy of accomplishment, but a lot of people starting to struggle as they come across the finish line. We're seeing, Phil, this is that time of day when we're getting into this 4 and 5 hour mark with this kind of heat that it's really going to affect these runners.
Yeah, and you're going to, your average time is about 4:15 in the marathon now. It's gone from, kind of 3:45 years ago to 4 hours used to be the kind of sweet spot. Now we're at about 4:15. But you're seeing the average person, and I don't mean that, this. We always say the ordinary person doing the extraordinary, so
right.
You don't want to say average as a derogatory term.
No, certainly not.
But this is the average person, the person that's maybe doing this for the first time. They've got kids, they've got family, they've got school, they've got, real life, and now all of a sudden they're being faced with something, especially in Canada. We didn't train in 32-degree weather.
That's right.
We had a late spring. The Boston Marathon guys, it was 22 degrees at the start. The warmest run most had in Ottawa was about 15. So you really didn't have time to prepare for it. And yeah, you can prepare a little bit, but when you get the extreme heat like this, it's very difficult because it's pure physiology, right? It's like a water-cooled engine in a car. At some point, no matter what you do with hydration and everything else, the engine can still overheat. People can still overheat. But the race weekend did a great plea to the public this last couple of days and asked people to get out and get their garden hoses out, get their sprinkler systems out. And for a lot of people, even the ones that don't like the roads being closed, they're probably out there spraying out of hate. They're probably, I'm going to spray that runner, I'm going to spray that runner. Big super soakers going. But again, it was a great plea, and it tells you, again, how much of a community this is. Jean Chrétien years ago used to be out on the front yard with his wife spraying the runners and cheering them on, and people love that. And the Governor General in the Army run, you run through the Army run, you run through Rideau Hall. So at all levels, as you alluded to earlier, you can't tell who does what for a living, what their background or anything else is. Right now, they're a runner.
Exactly.
And they're on the same results page as Olympic champions, as world record holders. It's in fact a Canadian championship, so you can't be on the same results page as Tiger Woods, although we could probably both beat him with your golf lessons now. You can't be on the major, the same results sheet as Milos Raonic, but right now for history, your finish is going to be on a Canadian championship. Doesn't matter what place. You can tell your friends you competed in a Canadian championship at the Scotiabank Ottawa Marathon.
And almost all 50,000 of these people that have participated over the weekend, they have that in common.
Yes.
And that brings people together and bonds people in incredible ways. We have somebody running for their brother, as a matter of fact, today. We mentioned people are running for all different reasons, different causes, different individuals. Kimothy Walker is standing by. We're going to head down to her right now.
Yeah, so J. Rowe Strong, what's this about?
So my brother almost died last Canada Day. He was in a coma, almost died, and he pulled through. He's here today. He was a runner, and he broke his leg. So my sisters and all of us, we all sport these shirts just telling him that we're J. Rowe Strong because he pushed through. He didn't die.
His name's Jay?
His name is Jason, so we call him Jay. So it's J. Rowe Strong. So whenever we're running and we feel like we're going to die, we just think about Jay, and he just pushes.
So how is he doing now?
He's great. He's here right now. He's rooting us on. He's going through surgery on his leg in the next month, and in the next few years he'll be running this race with us, so it's very exciting.
What did he almost die from?
He got hit by a car going 70k an hour in Toronto. Yeah.
And so he's here today. So you're actually going to leave this interview and go to the recovery and see him.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh wow. So did you have to call on that when you were out there, J. Rowe Strong?
Yeah, and all my sisters are running it, so that's what we tell each other when we're in the last stretch. Just think about Jay. He pushed through a coma. He should have been dead. He broke every bone in his face. So,
J. Rowe Strong.
J. Rowe Strong. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Wow, Jason, did you hear that story?
Yep.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Phil, let's talk, John, you mentioned you met John playing racquetball. Were you running back at that time, or were you doing different?
I was a sprinter. So,
okay.
yep, I actually ran in the Ben Johnson era. And most people probably don't remember Ben at this point, but it was 100 meters.
Everyone
200
remembers
400.
Ben. Come
Still,
on now.
Yeah. I forgot to put
not
this race
necessarily
before his
in
front
a
name.
positive way.
Yeah, and one of the great things I think, especially you kind of get a little off topic here, but Ben Johnson brings up memories of so much drugs in sports right now, and you've got the Russians, and you've got other federations that were finding systemic doping.
The IOC just last week, right? London, they just retested, I think, another 23. And then before that,
positive.
It was back in 2008. They retested about 32, I believe, came back positive. And you mentioned the Russian situation.
So I think
Unbelievable.
one of the great things about this is once you take away the elites, and it's amazing to watch them, but even as a former competitive athlete, I can't relate to somebody running sub 3-minute kilometers for 42K.
Right.
So even that, it's they're just wired differently, right? They pick their parents much better than you and I did. But if we look out right now, we see the people collapsing, we see the people struggling. There's no money in this. There's there's no age group here. They're trying to finish for that, whatever that reason. It's pride. It's running for her brother who broke every bone in his face.
Yeah.
It's in memory of that, to say, hey, you know what? Thank you for inspiring me. Now I'm going to go inspire you. And I think that's the really neat thing. An event like this, and even watching Special Olympics, you really get reminded as an athlete, as a coach, as a human being, of the humanity of sport, of what makes sport so great for all of us, and what transfixes us every time there's an Olympic hockey championship. The guys aren't playing for the money.
That's right.
They're playing for the flag on the flag on the country. And it really kind of reminds you that this is the pureness of sport right now. Is this person, getting the medal that feels right now so heavy they can hardly stand up with it, but then they're swelling with pride. They're walking to work Monday. They're on the bus with their medal on. They're walking around.
Yeah.
They're walking around work telling the story. It was 55 degrees with the humidity. The pavement was melting.
My shoes started melting.
My shoes
on me.
started melting. But that story is one that they will share, and all those people behind them that supported them and believed in them, and especially the people that didn't. So many people we talk to with our clinics. They have so many people at work that say, "Oh, you're an idiot. What do you mean you're gonna run a marathon? Well, that doesn't. Your knees are gonna kill you.
Yeah.
You never
Running's
do it.
not good for you.
No,
Running's
it's
bad
terrible
for your legs and your knees. Oh, we've heard
Yeah.
these misconceptions all the time.
But then it's funny because those people all of a sudden start hanging around people that believe. They're believers. They're enablers. They start hanging around people that are not toxic. They hang around people that say, "Yeah, of course you can do a marathon." We've got one of our instructors in Orleans. He used to be 570 pounds, and he lost 275, and now he teaches a half marathon clinic. And you have stories like that. You've got stories like Jody, who lost both legs from an IED, is a true war hero.
That's right.
And he ended up second in the amazing race. And this guy, nobody could ever tell him you're not going to run. Well, of course I am. He just got the prosthetic legs, but
and
we
he
look
knew it too.
Yes.
I mean, he knew it right away. He said, "No, I'm not just going to walk.
Yeah.
I'm going to be running one day."
Yeah, and Jason Dunkerley, and I actually guide his brother,
guy.
John, who's a visually impaired runner as well. We run twice a week. I guide him. And Jason ran. Jason's a Paralympic world champion. And
That's right.
He still runs a 15.5 5K.
I had the honor of interviewing him a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
What an incredible guy, incredible accomplishment. And I'm glad you bring up the Special Olympics because I think there's been a shift.
Yeah.
You mentioned the doping allegations, and it puts it taints the Olympics for many people. But the Special Olympics, if you wanna watch why the Olympics were initially started, why amateur athletes were initially celebrated, the Special Olympics is exactly what the Olympics should be all about.
I think so, and you look at the Paralympics. Paralympics is parasport is and I love the term adaptive athletes because for Jody, he's an athlete, but he's adapting to having no legs. You look at Jason, he's an Olympian, but he's adapting to having no sight. That to me is again the purity of sport. And the Special Olympians, with some of the learning disabilities and the mental challenges that some of those folks have, it's just the pure joy. It's,
I
you
know.
know, I've been at races with Special Olympians, and they'll be running as fast as they can beside their buddy in 200 meters. All of a sudden, they'll be like, "Where's my friend?" And they'll stop.
Yeah,
They'll
and wait.
5 meters from the finish line, they'll stop, wait for their buddy, give him a big hug, and they'll run across the finish line together. Got a big medal. They don't care what the time
They
is.
have
There's
no
care in the
care
world.
in the world.
And that's
Agreed.
one of the things. Our police chief, Charles Bordelot, Chuck's running the half marathon today. His wife Linda's running the marathon. Chuck's on the board of directors for Special Olympics now in Canada, and he's at these events and he's supporting them and he's trying to inspire them by doing the half marathon. And our former police chief, Vern White, ran a half marathon every month for 12 months his last year as chief. So when you have leadership like that, you show the rest of your force, hey, you know what, we're going to be active. And I remember Vern White telling me that he could go out sometimes on a run just wearing running clothes, and he could go a little bit of intelligence work. He could run in neighborhoods that if he had a uniform on, everything would stop.
Of course.
But he could go for a run, have a hat on, have headphones on, and shorts and sweat. He could go out for a 20K run, and he could see exactly what's going on anywhere there's a trouble spot in Ottawa, and feel free to move wherever he was. So it's again like that, or even as a tourist, running and walking gives you that freedom to move. And I think that Special Olympics, parasport, the Olympic movement maybe is kind of taking a backseat to parasport and to Special Olympics, as it maybe should.
We're going to continue sharing these stories that we talk about here at Ottawa Race Weekend. Kimothy Walker is with some twins who ran together here at the marathon today. Let's head over to her right now.
Amazing. Awesome. We did it together. My best time because of her.
Did you train together?
Yeah. We did.
What inspired you to do this?
Her. We're twins. We got to keep up. I can never beat her. But this year I actually kept up with her. Like, amazing.
Awesome. Now, did you pace her?
Yes,
Yes,
I
I did.
Absolutely.
Seventh time we've done this one.
You've done this one 7 times. Where are you from in the States?
New York, Ogdensburg, New York. Right across, like an hour away.
Why do you like this marathon?
Amazing.
It's awesome. I don't know.
Very organized. The people we've done Wine Glass Marathon. She just did Boston.
Congratulations on that.
We love it. We love it.
And was the weather as bad as you were thinking?
No. We drank water all day long yesterday, though. Yeah. All day long.
Yep.
We were prepared, yeah.
Okay. What are your names?
Kendra and Karen.
And your last name?
Moran and Matthews. We have married names now, but it used to be Kendall. We used to be the same.
Well, the twins doing the marathon. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Wow.
Wow. Phil and I just witnessed somebody come across the finish line at less than 4 hours with a cane.
Yeah.
That is just unbelievable.
Yeah. So we're starting to see the effects as it's kind of turning into an oven out there. The sun now, there's not a lot of protection. One of the other things that happens with this race too, the great feature is that it runs along the Rideau Canal. The bad feature is that water reflects the sunshine into the runners.
And there's
so
not a lot
of
coverage along there,
no
right? Along
cover.
the canal, there's
Yeah.
no trees, there's no shade whatsoever down that strip.
And one of the things that we normally coach in especially the marathon, is trying to get people to run the tangents. So when they measure the race, for those that don't know, they measure the race in the shortest possible distance that the elites could run.
Okay.
So it's close to the curb, but they'll measure that race. And what happens is we generally tell people to run the tangents, because in the marathon, if you don't run the tangents, you could run probably 44K. But today, we've been telling people the last couple of days, you know what, especially in Rockcliffe area, get off the tangents, try to maybe run in some shade. That's probably the best thing that you can do is get in a little bit of shade. It may not help a huge amount, but especially, you know, run as comfortable as you can. Maybe take those walk breaks, but if you see a sprinkler hose, hit it.
Yeah.
You know, back to John talking about play. Run in the sprinkler, splash in the sprinkler.
Have some fun with it.
Have some
Enjoy
fun with
yourself.
it, and it's amazing how much that will cool you down.
It's important to let people know. So, you know, this is obviously, even this broadcast is a great way to motivate people to get involved in running, to do something like this, to set a goal. But again, the goal is simply the accomplishment. On a day like today, it's not about breaking a personal best. This is about enjoying the experience and enjoying the journey.
Yeah, and one of the things I saw at Boston this year was that, you know, I'll gauge it by the elites. I can tell by the weather. The elites were maybe 3 minutes slow coming in. So right away I thought my guys are going to be 10 minutes slow.
Right.
So today, same thing. You know, we get a little bit lulled when the weather is cool at the start, but, you know, as we've seen right now, it's jumped up. It's got to be 30 degrees out right now. and that's really going to affect the people. And a lot of them maybe got through 30K comfortably, but at 30K you're also now getting different dynamics. You're getting blood dynamics when you get dehydrated, your blood thickens, you're not getting as much oxygen. You may be getting a little lactic acid from, kind of the rolling hills, but you're also dehydrating. And just like a car engine, when you start losing fluid, your muscles can't function properly and your brain can't function properly.
Outside of the hydration, Phil, are you eating anything along the way here on a day like today?
Generally, good rule of thumb is if you're going to be out doing anything active, cardiovascular, if you're going to be out more than an hour, every 45 minutes you should be having 100, 150 calories of some kind of, they have power gels and goos and things like that. I have a buddy who eats raw sliced potatoes with salt, right? Because they have a lot of potassium.
Of course.
Tastes awful, but I'd rather have Pringles.
Doesn't matter, yeah, exactly.
But they'll take that. Some people make their own trail mix, but there are tons of engineered foods. And if you have those calories coming in, it doesn't give you a boost, but it can keep your blood sugar from dipping too much. And then you have your water at the same time. And generally, it's a good formula. The old days, some of the Africans used to drink ox blood and milk. Some of the elites back in the 70s used to drink flat Pepsi. They would let Pepsi sit out overnight and then have that at a station. Some of the drinks now, or some of the gels, will actually have levels of caffeine. So you can have a 1, 2, or 3 shot of caffeine. So you might stage your caffeine. First 20K, you might have a gel with no caffeine. At 25K, you might have a single shot of caffeine. The next, that 30K, you might have a double caffeine. And that 35 or 40, when you want all of a sudden have a little boost coming into the finish line, you might have that 3 times.
Got like an
caffeine.
Ammunition belt of gel packs on you.
Yeah, and a lot of people now, and it's a good trend, is that interweb thing that these kids are using now.
Don't age this, okay?
There's a lot of information on there, and again, a lot of bad and good.
Yeah, a lot of misinformation.
A lot of
misinformation. Have to be careful with.
But it's stimulating people's interest, and so I hope what happens is they'll do some research online, and then they'll call a dietitian or a nutritionist and say, you know what, I'm going to spend an hour, like you getting a golf lesson. It's amazing when you learn how to hold the club properly.
That's right.
Everything else becomes easier. If you have healthy nutrition, especially as we get older, nutrition and rest are the most critical components of your training program. If you don't take care of those, you're not going to feel good. You're not going to recover from your training. You may as well not train.
And what people tend to forget in these situations is you don't have to see the nutritionist for the rest of your life.
No.
Go see the nutritionist 3 times, even the 1 time. If that's all, if that's all you can afford to do, if that's all the time you have, or if that's all economically you can afford to do, don't be intimidated that, they're going to make me come back. No, take that one moment and they'll steer you in the right direction. There's no doubt. We're going to head down to Mike Nellis right now because he's standing by at the finish line. He's going to talk to some people who've just come across the finish line. Mike?
Standing with Vincent and Catherine Mailhot, who just finished the Ottawa Marathon, a couple, and you guys ran it together, did you?
Yeah, it's a really great race. The crowd is fantastic. The organization is so good, so we will come back next year for sure.
Yeah.
And how did you guys decide to run this marathon together?
Oh, it's decided at Christmas. We need a challenge. So we decided to subscribe to marathon, and we did it. We are really happy now.
Yes.
So how did the weather affect you guys today? It's very hot now.
Yes, but it's okay. Yeah. There was a lot of cloud, and it's okay.
People
we are
on the street come up with water, so that helped us. The last hour was more difficult, but they have a lot of water, so everything was fine.
Yes, it's okay.
And what about during the race? Did you guys find there was a lot of encouragement from people looking on?
Yes.
Yeah, the crowd is amazing.
Yes.
It's really amazing. So we thank you for the people of Ottawa. They are really nice with us.
Yes.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Mike. We're just looking in behind us, people still coming across, and you're seeing the exhaustion really kicking in here, Phil, for some people. But, you also see, look at this couple coming across with their holding hands and their arms in the air. It's so incredible to see how proud they are to make it across.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those times where you can get, like the forecast, you know, you can freak people out, and all of a sudden their first ones are going to be, you know what, see, I told you running's bad for you.
Right.
And I was saying last night, people are going to say you're crazy to run in this heat, and I would say you're crazy not to, right? As long as you're careful, you can still come out, you can still celebrate. We're not we're a country that goes out and plays shinny hockey in -30. Right. So now it's +30. We just have we exercise caution. There's we have sunscreen. The medical staff here, the volunteers are if you're ever going to have anything go wrong, this is the place to have it.
You're so right. As I said earlier on in the show, when people come across, you can see everybody from first aid make eye contact with every single person, talk to them, ask them how they're doing, and they come immediately to somebody's aid if they see that they're starting to falter a little bit.
Yeah, and one of the biggest things that you have to remember too is we're going to see a lot of people collapse at the finish line. We're going to see a lot of people that their eyes are kind of rolling around in the back of their head. Your first instinct is, oh my God, like this is my sport. Like what are they doing?
Yeah,
They're dropping
what's
like
going on
flies.
here?
But as you know, we talked about this earlier. A big component of finishing something like the half marathon or the marathon is the mental side of running for a reason. And some of these folks are getting to 40K and they want to quit. Their body is telling them don't go, but they get an inspirational sign, or they know they're running for their brother, or they know they're running because they've lost somebody to cancer, or they're recovering from cancer. Their mental state brings them through that last couple of Ks. They get disassociative and then for quite some time, and then all of a sudden they're associative, they're fully locked in. But the human mind is only so strong, and it's fighting off pain, it's fighting off fear, it's fighting off everything. As soon as they cross the finish line, they're not only physically exhausted, they're mentally exhausted.
Yes.
So what we're seeing a lot of times right now is we may see them collapse. They're physically tired, but their mind has gotten them through that finish line, that barrier. They're mentally exhausted, but they're going to bounce back so much more quickly when it's a mental collapse like that. And then once they get their senses back, a little bit of light, a little bit of water, a little bit of kind of help, then they're fine. Then their body will come back. But that's one of the great things about a day like today is you're going to see a lot of mental exhaustion, which is not the dangerous part. The mental you can always come back.
Yeah,
from.
and as you said, we're seeing them get back up within minutes, right? It's the mental exhaustion. They sit down, they just need some time to themselves. They get treated immediately, and sometimes it's just a talk, right? You see the first aid personnel just chatting with them, smiling with them, great accomplishment, congratulations, how you feeling? You want some water? Do you need some other attention? We're going to head over, as you know, this is a race weekend. It's not just about the half marathon and the full marathon. It's also about the 2K and the 5K and the 10K and the kids marathon. And Kimothy Walker has a couple of participants from the kids marathon standing by with her. Let's head down to her right now.
Your mom?
Yes.
Wow, how did she do?
Good.
Yeah, how did you do?
I'm very good.
Yeah, and you have bibs and everything.
Yeah.
For the kids marathon. Let's
we ran two races. Three races. One yesterday and two today.
So you ran the kids marathon and then you helped out your mom for the last 2K?
Yeah. First we did the family marathon.
Wow, what do you love about running?
We can get faster if you run every day. And you get more exercise.
You get more exercise. Do you like exercising?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you from Ottawa?
No.
No, where are you from?
Canada.
Well, what city do you live in? Oshawa, Canada. And do you think you're going to come back to Ottawa? Do you like it?
Yes.
Yeah?
They have done it every year.
Let's ask your mom a question.
Yeah.
So they keep doing it every year?
Every year since they were born. We come every year to do the race. We started in the strollers.
They're very shy, I think. They're shy children.
We started when we were 2.
When you were 2, you started in this stroller with your mom. Now, I'm just going to ask your mom a question. How did you find the half marathon course? It's getting hot.
It's very hot. It's very hot, but it was awesome. Every people was helping us a lot with the water and everything, so it was very good. Yeah.
She's sweaty, eh?
Yeah, I'm totally wet.
Yeah. So are you guys going to do a half marathon like Mom one day?
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe next year you'll come and do the 5?
Yeah. Next year they are doing the 5. They are 7-year-old.
Wow. Are you twins?
Yes.
Yes. So twins running with your mama, and you're going to be back next year. I can't wait to see you.
Me neither.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be great. You guys are awesome. Congratulations. Okay, bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Cute kids.
Yeah, you guys are awesome. Cute kids for sure. Nice to see them out there with their mom, too. Again, making this a family affair with you and the family. You want to try to motivate your kids to do something. This is a great way to do it, and in particular because kids look to us. We can always talk to our kids, Phil. I have kids. I can talk to them. Hey, you got to get out and you got to, get some exercise. You got to get out and run or join a sports team or do something. If I'm not doing it, and I'm sitting around the house on my phone, or I'm, watching, TV program after TV program and binge watching something, what kind of motivation is that going to be to get my kids motivated to do it?
Yeah, and there is a responsibility. I think it's it's a different dynamic with how people work and flex time and commuting time and stuff like that. But ultimately, you see the generations doing this. You see the parents that are doing triathlon, so they take the kids with them with their bikes and they cross-country ski together. It's really sending that message of being positive role models. I coach all of our MPs and our parliamentarians, and every Tuesday morning there's about a dozen that get in the pool with former Olympic swim coach Pierre LaFontaine. Elizabeth Mays, she learned a flip turn, with doing this parliamentary swimming. But every Tuesday morning we meet at 6:45 on the hill. There's about 10 or 12 MPs from all parties, and they go run. And one of them is a young first-time MP from Quebec, and he's an ultramarathoner. And he coached Stockwell Day, and Stock did Boston at 61. He ran 3:27. And Stock, I remember very much, his staff had to be active. And if he was going to have a meeting with a constituent or somebody like that, he would say, okay, bring your running shoes or bring your walking shoes, because we're not going to sit in an office cramped up. We're going to go. And when your political leadership, Catherine McKenna was at the start line, and she's running. Her daughter was running, and she's a huge advocate of health and wellness and fitness in the community. So I think when you have community leadership like that, when you've got guys who run like Matt Fleury, and you've got Jody Middick, who's our event person. You've got Stockwell Day. Lorene Harper was a wonderful walker, snowshoer. She loved snowshoeing. Justin Trudeau, a bunch of runners saw him running over on the Gatineau side.
Oh, yeah, we've seen him in the boxing ring. We've seen him do one-arm push-ups, yoga.
I think that's where that healthy leadership comes from, is when we see our leaders being active and healthy. Jack Layton had a pool record at McGill when he was swimming. Nancy Green-Rain, who was our athlete of the century, is a senator, and she's working on a bill that's trying to get through that is trying to prohibit advertising of sugar and soda drinks to kids, because she is so adamant that we want our kids to be healthy with this upcoming epidemic of obesity and diabetes. It's controllable. And it's all controllable stuff. We're going to be spending $18 billion a year of healthcare dollars on treatable illness, money that could be going to things that, naturally occur. Prevention.
That is the biggest thing. I think we're starting to finally see in Canada a shift where it was all about treatment constantly. We're now seeing a shift, and I think there needs to be more progress made, but at least it's a start. We're seeing a shift where we're talking about prevention more than anything. We hear people just screaming behind us as they come across the finish line. We talk about stories. Let me tell you, Julie Drury is an incredible, you talk about leadership, right? And oftentimes we look at leaders, we look at world leaders, we look at our MPs, we look at our city councilors. There's also those leaders in our community, those quiet leaders. Well, Julie Drury ran today, and she had all the motivation in the world. She lost her daughter at a young age to a rare disease, and I know that each time that she runs, she thinks of her daughter. Timothy Walker is standing by with Julie right now. Let's head over there.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm looking at your necklace here, the Never Give Up.
Yeah.
Were you thinking a lot about her out there?
I was thinking I would run a marathon every day if I could have her back. It was hard.
Did she help you too get through?
She always does. This is different though with her being gone, so the connection is different. But we're extremely proud of the team we put up and the fundraising that we've done, and we had an incredible cheer station at the 10K mark there had to be 75, 80 people there, so there's a lot of, Kate inspired a lot of people, me especially.
This has been, your running has been what has helped you get through this enormous tragedy. I know you've just finished, but do you know what happens tomorrow?
Tomorrow I'm gonna just rest and stretch, and I think probably next week will be a hard week, right? There's been a huge focus for me to get to Boston on April 18th and then to get to here today. Tomorrow is the 6-month anniversary of Kate's death. So, I'll be recovering and I'll be just be grieving.
I think the entire city is grieving with you.
Yeah, she was an incredible kid. She touched a lot of lives, She was really out there in the community, and anyone she met loved her. So she was a very special girl, and it is a tragedy. Her bone marrow transplant was supposed to improve her life and try and avoid any further complications of her disease, and it went very wrong and ended up with a lot of complications. And so, we tried to do something to help her, and in the end, it was the complete opposite. So, she had an extremely rare disease. Mitochondrial disease isn't rare, but CIFD is, and I'm trying to change that for other people.
Well, you certainly changed a lot today. I know it's a bittersweet day for you, but congratulations on accomplishing this.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
That's just another story that touches everybody's heart here in the community. So many people know Julie. I've had an opportunity to interview Julie over the years, and I met her daughter, Kate. And as she said, Kate was an incredible young lady that had so much spirit. And what a difficult day for Julie. And as she said, even the week. And you talked about it earlier, Phil, where it's the emotional side of things that can be more exhausting than even the physical side, even on a day like today.
Yeah, with that story, what a conflict that you have when you come across the finish line, because everybody around you is celebrating and they're so excited because they've reached their goal, they've finished, and the first thing that you're thinking of is that you've lost your daughter.
Yeah.
And some things are out of your control, and that's one of the things I like about the marathon and all the stories is that, yeah, there's going to be tragedy in all of our lives. We don't know whether we could be gone tomorrow, and it's not a great way to look at things. But the bottom line is, it could happen to any of us, and people around us, loved ones. So it should remind us every day that don't take today for granted. Don't sit there as a spectator in life. Don't sit there and say, gee, I wish I'd run the marathon, or gee, I wish I'd driven that sports car, or gee, wish I'd learned to dance salsa dance or whatever. Get out and do something, and look at the 48,000 people and find somebody in there that looks like you.
Yeah.
Find somebody in there that has lost a loved one that you can use to inspire. Find somebody who's lost a leg or two like Jody, or somebody who's recovering from brain cancer, or somebody who's recovering from breast cancer, and say, wow, you know what? If they can do it, I can do it, and I'm not going to live my life in fear of, I don't know if running might be bad for me. Well, you know what? Go find out. And if it's not running, go walk. If it's not walking, get on a bike.
I'm glad you mentioned that too, because we're not just saying a proponent of just running. The idea is taking advantage, as you said. Don't be a spectator. Maybe it's the arts. Maybe it's theater. Maybe it's music. Maybe it's running. Obviously, we want to concentrate on physical activity today, but as you said, biking, joining a sports team. It doesn't matter. And you said, you can see yourself in so many of these people. That's what I love. All different shapes and sizes of people are coming across that finish line here today, and you can see yourself. So if you're sitting at home going, I can't do it because of so many different reasons.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a physical reason. You look at yourself, you're not happy with yourself. I don't look like a runner. Well, look at some of these people.
Look at most of them.
The majority of them, have that same body type as the rest of you sitting at home.
I defy anybody to come to race weekend over 2 days and look and not find somebody that looks like themselves.
Yeah.
I'm 20 pounds heavier than I was in university. Okay, well, you know what? There they are right there.
Yeah.
There's that person within 100 feet. There's somebody that's got the same story you do. And ultimately, you don't want to preach, but we have a responsibility to the next generation to take care of ourselves, because if we don't, they're not going to have any health care dollars.
That's true.
They're not going to have any support. These kids are going to be inactive. They're going to be weak. We've seen it with the generational. There's so many more kids allergic. They don't play in the dirt anymore.
Listen,
Right?
I am a big proponent of that. We own a cottage, and I tell you, that first moment when we brought my daughter, my stepson had been to camp and he'd got his hands dirty, but we got my daughter to the cottage and everything was don't touch this, and like no, dive in there,
go play,
go have some fun, don't worry about getting dirty. There's no laundry here at the cottage.
No.
You know, just get out there and have fun. And of course, that goes for anyone. I mean, Ottawa is such a beautiful city for that.
Yeah.
I love that, you know, you can walk, run, bike, drive for about 25 minutes and you'll be at a park or you'll be in some green space. You can get out into the country, enjoy the fresh air, enjoy getting dirty and hands-on in any activity that you choose.
And the great thing is your heart doesn't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Your heart doesn't know if you're dancing, whether you're skiing, whether you're walking, whether you're mountain climbing, whether you're playing Xbox, the Dance video game. It doesn't know, as long as your heart is moving, and it's a muscle. It's the most important muscle in your body. So
that's right.
You can fool it pretty easily, you know. And the more active you are, the more that it's going to affect your metabolism, and the better you're going to feel. And there's so many positives. And again, it's preaching, but we all know now. It's like the warning on the cigarette packages. My mom died almost 11 years ago of lung cancer. Her doctor started her smoking 50 years ago because she was a little bit stressed. So her doctor was a
that's
smoker.
what he prescribed.
Yeah, he said, well, you know, if you start smoking, it'll relax you, right?
Wow.
So, you know, and it's not a good way to go. And my dad and mom both smoked. All my grandparents went from smoking. I was the only one in the whole family that didn't smoke. And you know, they always encouraged me to do sport, but economically it wasn't something they would do. Generationally, it wasn't something they would do, and they just didn't quite understand it. They kind of, you know, watched me run every now and then and kind of thought I was a little bit crazy, but they always supported it. When I did Boston Marathon, it was my first marathon, and I guide ran for a blind girl who came in from China, who 2 days later had a cornea transplant donated, and she came back as a sighted runner.
Wow.
And my mom called. She said, so how many days is this marathon going to take you? And I was like, I pray it doesn't take me days, Mom, because
that's not the idea.
I'd only kind of booked on 4.5 hours or so for this runner. But it was, you know, her generation didn't understand it. They weren't that active, and I could see the result in terms of the life expectancy.
And you can turn things around.
Oh, absolutely.
I was a smoker for 20 years. Yep. I smoked for 20 years. I quit cold turkey 7 years ago now. I have a personal trainer that I see. I work out in my gym at my condo building 3 days a week. I see my personal trainer once a week. And again, you know, different reasons, different motivation. I looked at my daughter at 4 years old and thought to myself, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to run around and play with this little girl if I continue this lifestyle that I have right now. We talked about Ray Zahat.
Well, yeah.
Guy smoked a pack a day.
Ray's a great story.
And then he reads them. He's in the doctor's office. He looks at a magazine and he goes, "What's this ultra marathon thing? What are these people doing?"
I'm so glad I didn't buy that magazine.
Yeah, no kidding. But Ray's another. You know, you talked to John Stanton a little earlier that we spoke to him. Those are the stories you should concentrate. If you think you can't do it, all you have to do is find these little stories, and they're everywhere.
Yeah, they're easy to find. They're in the paper. They're on the web. The Running Room magazine. I mean, that's the big focus of our magazine is what you can do. Mm-hmm. How can you do it? The average person, the elites, none of us understand. I mean, we love watching. We love watching the elites, and I still love, you know, the Olympics and track and field. But it's a different sport to me now. Now that I'm out of it, to me it's entertainment. I can put the Tour de France or track and field aside. That's entertainment.
Right.
To me, this is sport. This is the purity of sport. And there's countless magazines, countless interviews, countless people you can talk to. You're right in your neighborhood. Your chief of police is going for a run 4 times a week. You know, your athlete of the century, Senator Nancy Green Rain, is 72 years old, young, and she'll kill me if I didn't say that. But she's got a personal trainer. She still skis every day when she's off, and she's still super active. And so when you have those people saying, well, of course, why wouldn't I at 72? Why wouldn't I exercise every day? Well, if you're 30 and you're not, you got to kind of be looking going, maybe I have a responsibility to not only the generation, but my family, my friends. Maybe they want me around. Some
Invest
cases, maybe
in
not.
yourself.
Exactly.
My dad's always said to me that people will go out and buy a $25,000 car and they'll balk at paying a membership for the gym. You know, I can't afford it. You just bought a $25,000 car. You invested in that. Invest something in yourself. We're going to head down right now to Mike Nellis because he's still over at the finish line and he's chatting to people as they cross that finish line. Let's head down and see what Mike has to say.
And here with Rhiannon Vogel, who just finished the Ottawa Marathon, her second one. And how did this race go?
It was better than expected for sure. The weather was perfect most of the race, and the course was great. Support was great. Felt really awesome.
You ran 3:17. Are you happy with that?
I'm so happy. Yeah, I was trying to go under 3:30 and maybe under 3:20. So yeah, I'm super proud of myself.
So you mentioned that this should get you to the Boston Marathon. You've been there before.
I have 5 years ago. So try it again.
And what made you get back into this after the 5 years?
Well, I took a break and did a bunch of half marathons, and then one of my best friends, Jamie, and I decided that we were finally going to do a marathon together. So it's this one.
There you go, and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
That's Rhiannon Vogel, who just finished the Ottawa Marathon, the very good time at 3:17.
Wow, 3:17.
I know Rhiannon. She's a great
do
girl,
you?
but talking about combining the arts, she's a curator at the National Gallery. So she, she's got a passion for running, a passion for arts. My friend Erin O'Neill, who's a local Ottawa artist, just finished the half marathon a little while ago. She takes a camera when she's out running, and she gets inspired. She'll take pictures while she's out running,
Great
and those
idea.
become her paintings. So
Yeah.
she'll see the locks from an angle that no other person would, or she'll see graffiti on a wall somewhere, or she'll be under a bridge in the middle of winter when nobody else is outside. She's got her camera, and she'll take a picture, and from that comes the magnificent art. And so, again, people run for all sorts of reasons, and maybe when they're running, they're inspired in their regular life, which is something we don't think about a lot, too.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Well, we have Timothy Walker standing by with another local fabulous story. Look at the robot. What a great shot right there. Everybody.
You think that's
running.
hot?
That's a hot day right there. Congratulations, Robomatic.
Wow.
Let's head down to Timothy Walker right now.
So how was it out there?
It was amazing. It's such a beautiful course. I love running this race every year. There's so many people running it. And there's just so many people out cheering us on. It's so inspiring.
Now, what was the weather like? Because people were dreading it.
It actually wasn't that bad. There were times when there was a bit of a breeze, so that helped to cool us off. And they certainly made a point of situating water stations all throughout the course. So I would usually just take 1 cup to drink and then 1 cup over my head.
And what was the spirit like out there with everybody?
It was amazing. It was so good, and it's the same every year. You see people of all different running capabilities, all ages, and it's really neat. It's really great.
When you came over here, you actually said that the person producing this show right now inspired you. What's that about?
Yeah, so Gavin, who's the producer on Rogers, was a huge part of me starting my running career here in Ottawa. Specifically with the marathon distance. Marathons are such a beast to run, and the whole way I've run a number of races with Gavin, and he's just the best cheerleader in the whole world.
Well, that's great, and now you're on his show. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
That is true, Timothy. Now she is on Gavin's show. And Gavin, by the way, a great mentor for so many people here in Ottawa. 1 year ran a marathon for every letter in the alphabet. So went around the world and ran a marathon in different countries. What an incredible challenge and incredible motivation for young people, a guy like Gavin is.
Yeah, I remember Gavin running his first marathon, and he had some health problems during that first marathon, a little bit of a health scare, and persevered through it. And yeah, I don't know where he found. I can't remember where he found the X and C marathons.
You are to blame though
for
his beginnings in running. You coached him for that first marathon.
I think it's kind of my fault, but again, Gavin had no idea back then that he was going to run over 50 marathons and inspire somebody like Jamie, or literally coaching a couple of thousand marathoners over these times.
I wanted to touch on, we've talked a lot about what people are eating, what they're drinking as they go along, sort of the pace that they have to have in this sort of temperature. What about equipment-wise? Do you need to dress differently? Obviously, sunscreen is a no-brainer on a day like today.
Yeah, just like the foods are engineered now, there's a lot of technology goes into the fabrics. There are actually materials that have 50, 60 UV protection in them. There are materials now that in the wintertime, the material actually heats up when you sweat, and there are materials that now will drop a couple of degrees when you start to perspire in the heat.
Really?
So there are, kind of self-regulating. There are biometric outfits now, tights that have sensors that can gauge your blood pressure, your blood lactate level, your heart rate while you're wearing them. So you can monitor those metrics, or your doctor can monitor those metrics. There are GPSs that almost everybody is wearing now. They're pretty much ubiquitous with running. So especially a heart rate monitor on a day like this is a good technology to have if you know what to do with the information. But the clothing, All the synthetics, the old days we used to kind of look at polyester as being Dairy Queen, the Dairy Queen suit, right, that we all wore.
That's right.
Now it's, there are Clima-Fit and Dry Fit and all those materials. But
you're not as highly flammable these days as you were back then with
and
the polyester.
We won't melt now.
That's right.
But even the shirts that we're wearing right now are synthetic, and they're, we're not sweating. The old days we would have looked like Jack Nicklaus and Arnold Palmer in a cotton golf shirt and the whole profile.
Oh,
there, all that. But the socks, everything is synthetic, very friction-free. So that's where people really try to focus. And the hydration packs now, there's a lot of ways for people to carry water. So they not only have it on a race day, but they train with it. So they're much safer while they're out there.
Phil, we're just about to sign up. I want to thank you so much. Just your knowledge of running and your passion for it and your passion for your community. I can't thank you enough for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
It's been great and very exciting.
Fabulous.
I'm glad you came back from Montreal for it.
I wouldn't have missed it for the world.